Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online info session for Ashton College's Human Services Continuing Education courses. We're really glad that you're all here with us today. You may be joining us on Facebook Live or through the Zoom webinar, or perhaps you're watching after the fact on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is CJ McGilvery. I'm a digital content developer with Ashton College, part of the marketing team, and I'm joined by my colleagues Rita, the Information Services Coordinator, and Suzanne Adams, who is our Continuing Education Department Coordinator and also an instructor with Ashton College. So welcome, Suzanne. Thank you so much for joining me.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You know, the way you say that, you know, it's like, so the continuing education for the human services portion,
Yes.
because we've got a lot of continuing education courses, and this much is me.
Absolutely. We have tons of continuing education at Ashton, and we're here today to talk specifically about a couple of the human services courses.
Yes.
So for folks just joining us, we will be covering our Autism and ABA Therapy course, the Dyslexia and the Orton-Gillingham Approach training course. We'll also be talking about the Gerontology course, our Recreation Therapy courses, and the Diversity and Inclusion Training Certificate. So lots to chat about today, but we will just get through as much as we can, and we're really excited to have everyone here today. And Suzanne, to start us off, maybe we could just get to know you a little bit. So perhaps you could share about your experience, what brought you to teaching?
Oh boy. Okay. So I've done this a few times, so it's just kind of like, so let's put this into a nutshell. I've been in this field off and on for the last 35 some odd years, without aging myself too much. I've worked within schools, I've worked with at-risk youth, and I've worked with developmental disabilities for adults as well. Each one has had its offerings and its challenges, not just of what I've taught them, but also what they've taught me, which at times is more important as to what they've taught me. You know, and they're all experiences that I'm honored that I got to have over the years. Since 2005, I've worked in a post-secondary environment, teaching the education system program, and I've been developing that program since 2005 as well. So Ashton College, I've been with them since November of 2017 when I was asked to write an EA program for them. You know, so it's the program development side is something that's really important to me, to ensure that the EAs that are going into the schools have got the type of training I know they need to have. I know what the districts are looking for, and making sure that we can actually accomplish that. You know, and then being able to teach the classes myself that I've been able to has been such it's a challenging environment in the classroom environment, but it's been wonderful, and I've learned again as much from my students as I know that they've learned from me. We've now gone online, so it's, you know, it's another challenge. Right? In March, everybody went online. So students I had with me in at the classroom environment, we ended on the Friday. On the Monday, we were online. You know, and that's thanks to Ashton already having a platform that we could go into. So there was very little transition for the students, because they were already using some parts of it.
It sounds like it was a very quick adaptation
into
the format.
It was a very fast mindset, and ready to boot, and the students have been doing well. And now we have new cohorts and new groups of students. So it's just been, it's been exciting all the way along, and it just continues.
I love that.
I'm having fun. Too much fun sometimes.
And so what I hear from you is that you've been involved in one way or another in education for so many years of your life. And there's the instructing aspect, and then there's also the development of the courses, which it sounds so exciting to be doing right now as things are constantly
It's
changing.
fun because and it requires me to continue my professional development to stay updated because, going out of the field means that, once you start doing this, you've got to find out all the changes that have happened and what this means and new approaches and new interventions. And so you're constantly learning, And that I think is vital to our students that as instructors, we're keeping ourselves abreast of everything that's going on, so students are always getting updated information, not old.
I love that. And I think that flows really nicely into one of the next things I wanted to talk to you about, which was continuing education in general. We may have some folks joining us who are interested in a variety of programs within the Human Services Department.
Yeah.
So when it comes to continuing education, why is that important for students and for faculty?
With some of the continuing education programs that we've got, it's great for people that are already educational assistants and want to get further training. They want to up their skill level. They haven't, we've got EAs that have been in the field for 10, 20 plus years, and the instruction that they got when they were in school, there's new approaches, there's new interventions, there's new understandings. So this gives them an opportunity to do some professional development as well. It's also unbelievably, for parents as well. If you're a parent of a child with autism, this is telling you also what's out there. So many parents have got home-based programs that they're doing with their child for early intervention. So this is giving them some further information as well. If you're just a lifelong learner yourself and you just want to take courses, these are great. They're not taking loads of your time. You've got one session a week, with an instructor just to get more information. You've got the materials, you've got, I'm excited that we've got these continuing education, not just the full programs.
I think it speaks to accessibility because you're right, not everyone is going to have time to be enrolling in a full-time program, and yet they may still have that hunger for knowledge and want to continually develop.
Exactly. So there's from what I'm seeing, there's almost something for everybody. All we need now is a baking show.
I think we could have a nice one together.
We could do cooking continuing education classes.
We could.
I'd be so into that.
We are here to serve the students, so where there is a need, we just need to develop a course for it. So I'm curious, with all of these different courses that we've talked about, and I know you specifically teach the Autism and ABA Therapy course, as well as the Dyslexia and the Orton-Gillingham Approach Training course. Is that correct?
I'm putting them together.
Okay.
The Autism and ABA Therapy course will be taught by another instructor. She's wonderful. She has the knowledge base that I like to see the instructor have for this. She's got the experience. She's very vibrant and expressive, and I think she's going to do a great job, and the students that are taking the course are going to love her. So I'm excited in putting things together for her to go, here you go, now play, go have fun and bring yourself into it. The Dyslexia and Orton-Gillingham approach, I'll be taking that one. So I'll be doing that one. So I'll be staying busy for a period of time, because I also teach. I've got 3 cohorts on the go right now, and Wednesdays is my night off. And once we have students though enrolled in the Dyslexia and Orton-Gillingham, I'm prepared to give up my Wednesdays.
You've got to really love education,
I do.
dedicating that much time.
I do. I'm a glutton for punishment. Bring it on. The more students, you know, because the students that I currently have, these are students that they want this. You know, it's not just a job. They've come into this knowing that this is what they want to do. This is their passion, and the reasons behind wanting to do it is awesome. So that makes what I do that much easier.
Absolutely.
Because they're active learners. I'm not pulling teeth. I'm not having to try to get things out of them. There's just, so that makes it enjoyable for me. You know, so I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
So I'm also curious, with these various courses, what excites you most about the course offerings for human services?
The variety. I think with what we've started so far in the human services, is the variety that we put into place, that regardless of whether or not you're more on the healthcare side of things or you're on the human services side, whether or not you're working with children or you're working with adults, you're going to benefit from taking all of those. And even though gerontology isn't one that I'm going to teach, I'm glad to see that something like that is there, not just for healthcare aides, the healthcare assistants, but also for people who are caregivers of their parents. More and more, to help them understand the whole aging process, because that can be difficult. I've gone through that with my parents, so I know what it was like with them until they passed, you know. So it's just knowing that that's there not just for the professionals, but for the typical person is what excites me about these.
I love that. And it's really breaking down any barriers of expectations of who could or should enroll in a continuing education
Absolutely.
course.
Absolutely. You don't have to be a professional in the field. You can have those personal experiences that you need this information for, or you want the information for, or you're thinking about getting into it, but you're not sure if it's really a fit for you. It's a great way to try them out. Great way to try it out.
Sounds amazing. So I'd love to dive a little bit further into the two courses that you are curating and creating yourself. So why don't we talk a bit about the Autism and ABA Therapy course, and some of the main topics that are covered in that course.
Okay, so the Autism and ABA Therapy is taken from within our full program. We have 2 modules. There's 5 weeks of autism that students get, and there's 6 weeks of applied behavioral analysis, so that they learn how to work with students and fill what I consider to be their toolbox. So kids with autism, they have a toolbox, but either it's empty or it's got the wrong tools. And our job is to help to give them better tools to replace the ones that they've got that are still going to meet their needs. So what I've done is I've combined that 11 weeks, which this program for continuing education is 11 weeks, and we've taken the most important things out of those, so that students who are taking it can get a better understanding of autism. We're not talking about what autism was or what it is. It's what it could be. It's what it can be, what it should be. You know, so we're looking more to the future. We're not looking at yesterday. So I don't put a concentration on the history of autism. It's like, here it is. This is what we need to understand. This is the mindsets that we need to create for ourselves so we know how to better support. As well, there's ABA, applied behavioral analysis, gets a bad rap. And I understand why in so many ways. I've heard from so many parents. There's Facebook groups that I'm part of, and there's the ones who, you know, love ABA and they applaud it. And then there's the ones who hate it with a passion. And I look at that and I ask them why. And a lot of it, from what I'm hearing, has to do with the people that are doing the ABA therapies are not doing it in the best interest of the child. They're doing it in the best interest of them. It's what the adult needs. If we could just have the child do this, then they aren't a problem. But that may not benefit the child, right? We have to understand the child's moods and interest and likes and dislikes, and recognize that every child with autism is unique, just like every one of us is unique. And we've got to get that so that we're working with them, not at them, right? So I wanted to make sure that this 11-week program really spoke to that, so that when we're using a lot of the interventions that ABA talks about, that we're doing it correctly. We're doing it in the right way, for the right reasons, with patience, respect, and dignity, because that's what they deserve to have.
That's beautiful.
So that's how that one is being set up. So that's there. Students will have little workbooks and handouts, and then on the session nights, the instructor will be able to have activities and discussions and things that they can do in between that, to make sure that they're really getting it, not just having the knowledge. Anyone can read a book, but you got to get it. You got to really get it. You know, so that's what we're trying to put together for it.
And it sounds like there's really these core values that guide the program creation and the instruction there. And you were talking about dignity and respect, and I heard compassion too a lot in the way that program is structured.
We've got to understand behaviors. I mean, I teach my students that all behaviors learned. All behavior is communication. We just have to learn how to listen. And all behavior happens in context. We need to understand that, right? And if we don't understand that, then we're failing that child.
And hearing you describe it that way, I can really see how this course would be beneficial to, yes, an education assistant, also a parent, or someone who has a child in their life who has autism and wants to improve those communication skills and be more supportive.
Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, anyone who's involved in this child's life and really wants to get a better understanding, this will help. Absolutely. This will help. I'm hoping that, and if any of my past EAs are listening, I'm hoping that they will, you know, because they got this training as well. So if they need a refresher, this is something they should be taking, and they should be telling all the EAs that they know who weren't trained through me that they need to come and take this.
Absolutely.
They're going to benefit.
Yeah.
They will benefit from it.
Yeah, and like you said, someone that may have been working as an EA for 10 or 15 or 20 years who had a different style of education, that's where the continued lifelong learning comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
We're not doing the same old anymore. So if you need help in knowing how else we do it, then those supports need to be there. So that's an exciting one. I was working a lot on it today. Amazing. As well, just typing away, putting it together, and making it all look pretty.
Yeah, pulling everything together.
Pulling everything together. Yeah. The other one is the dyslexia and the Orton-Gillingham. So again, that's a course within our full program. So we've taken that one, and it's 5 weeks, and we're 5 weeks in the full program too. You know, so with this one, it's understanding what dyslexia is first off, because if I ask you, what's your understanding of what dyslexia is, what are you going to tell me?
I'm sure it would not match what is in a textbook. I'm positive it would not match. All I remember is in elementary, we did an exercise where we had to write while staring in a mirror. and the exercise was designed to show us just what the experience would be like for someone who has dyslexia. And that's probably all the education that I have on it as, just an everyday person.
But it looks so different. I mean, most people, when they think of dyslexia, they think it's a child who writes backwards. Letters are reversed and it is so much more than that. It is so much more. There are subtypes of dyslexia, and so when you say that someone has dyslexia, it's like, what type of dyslexia do they have? Because they can have one or more of the different subtypes. And without knowing that, we don't know how to help them. We don't know how to support them. So it's getting a better understanding of exactly what dyslexia is, what dyslexia looks like. There's going to be a lot of different simulations that are going to happen during live sessions so that students can get a real feel for what it's like. And we're going to look at the accommodations and interventions that are used. In a lot of the districts, they use Orton Gillingham.
Okay.
It's American based, but it works everywhere. And I know there are some school districts like Chilliwack and Maple Ridge that use the Orton Gillingham approach. Other districts might use other programs that are similar to, that are loosely based off of Orton Gillingham. But this gives the students an understanding of what the Orton Gillingham approach, how it's structured, how it's set up to help someone with dyslexia who is a struggled reader. They won't become Orton Gillingham practitioners through this. This takes years of further training. It's like learning how to become a teacher, and you got to do practicum too much. But this gives them a really good understanding of it. So if they're working with a child who has a diagnosis, then they're going to have that special education teacher who's going to be going, and this is the program and this is what we're going to do. At least they're going to have an understanding of it and know how it flows. Great thing about the Orton Gillingham, though, is that even if a child doesn't have dyslexia but is struggling with reading, everything that you're going to learn in this program is going to help you help that person who's struggling to read. Okay, you don't have to be dyslexic to use a lot of the Orton Gillingham approaches, because it starts off with, think of it of, you want to build a house. Okay, so from kindergarten until grade 3, you're learning to read. Okay, from grade 4 on, you're reading to learn. So that means that your foundation in reading, your fluency, your comprehension needs to happen kindergarten to grade 3.
Otherwise, you're going to be impacted in the learning stages after that, right?
Exactly. So in that very beginning reading, we need to be teaching phonics. We need to be teaching phonetic awareness. They need to know that every letter has a sound and every sound has a letter. They need to be able to discriminate it, to blend it, to morph it. They need, that's the floor of their house. If they don't have that foundation, they're going to start putting walls up, and the floor is just going to go, and they start to struggle. So when we can use an RTI, which is a response to intervention, then that means that before the child starts to struggle, we've put accommodations into place and interventions into place that will prevent that.
Wow.
Right? So that's what that foundation of Orton Gillingham is going to give. So again, for EAs and for parents of children who are looking for ideas and things that they can do, if you have dyslexia yourself and you want help and supports, there's so many people that would benefit from being able to take this, including teachers as well.
I was going to ask you that. So if someone's not an EA, but if
who
they're
need supports,
a teacher,
teachers don't typically get that type of training
Mm-hmm.
to become a teacher unless they've taken special needs courses themselves. They may not have that, so they don't know how best to support, so
Mm-hmm.
they need further supports as well. And even though there are professional development days for teachers, it doesn't cover everything that, you know, some teachers might be interested in. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a way for them as well to get that extra help.
Especially at that pivotal age of that transition from like grade 3 to grade 4, where they're moving from, you said, learning to read into reading to learn.
Yep.
So a public school teacher who's working with that age group and seeing the different struggles, I can see how that would be so beneficial to have this extra training.
It is. I mean, every little bit, you know, helps. And for
Mm-hmm.
parents who just want to understand, you know, the stages of reading, how this happens, then that's also
Mm-hmm.
helping them along the line of things that they can do to encourage reading, even
Mm-hmm.
if they're not able to support as well themselves. We're giving them tools as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
filling up this toolbox,
I love that metaphor. Yeah.
right?
And I think
With
that works for continuing education in general, right? Just adding things to the toolbox.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got many toolboxes, and I know that I need to get a bigger one.
I feel like you have a stack of them all around you for different focus
yeah,
areas.
they're everywhere. But I mean, I've always been like that. I've always wanted to continue learning.
Mm-hmm.
Anything and everything, even stuff outside my wheelhouse. You would be amazed the stuff that I read and I learn, and we're not going to discuss that
For another time, for
another
sure.
time.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
What do you think? So this is let's talk for both the autism and ABA therapy course and for the dyslexia and Orton Gillingham approach course. What do you think students will enjoy most about those two courses?
What will they enjoy most? We put things into layman's terms. There's a lot of tech words in this field. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of words, a lot of big words, a lot of lingos, a lot of acronyms. We're putting things into simple language, easy to understand, in a way that they can relate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helps in doing professional development, that you're not just getting, you know, all the big stuff. So I've made sure that any resources, excuse me, that the students are going to need, easily accessible,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
affordable,
Yeah.
simple enough language. The book that I use in the program for ABA is a little intense, and if students don't have enough of that support, it's kind of like you're going to be reading it and going, I have no idea what I just read. So the book that I found for the autism and ABA, it's a much smaller book. It's very simply written, and then the instructor can expand on it more way, but it's not going to overwhelm them. But and they're going to learn things in those steps, in that structure, and they're going to come out of it, I hope, with every topic with valuable information of things that they've learned and things that they can use.
Mm-hmm. So huge practical emphasis. You're walking away with some skills here.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to be able to go, okay, I'm doing this, and it's like, and I'm in school, and you know, I'm working with a child, so I did this week, let's go try it out.
Amazing.
And then come back the next week and go, oh my goodness, it worked. Hopefully.
I love that. And that must be so rewarding for you as an instructor when you have students come back to you and say, oh, I practiced this method. I've used this knowledge that I've gained, and then I got this result that I was looking for.
I've got a few hundred students that I've taught since 2005. And they're all out there, and there's quite a few that I still stay in touch with on a regular basis. So I know the kids they're working with, and I know the schools they're at, and the things that they're going through. And there are still times where I'll get an EA, a past EA that says, you know, so I had this student and this happened, and I was trying to think, what was I going to do? And your voice came into my head. So I'm still, you know, they know, you know, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what was Suzanne? Suzanne wouldn't have done it that way. No, she wouldn't have. She was, you know, like they talk to each other and go, I'm telling, you know, it's just, and these guys are doing such an incredible job. The stories that I have heard of what a lot of my EAs have done since COVID-19, since March, of working with the students that they've worked with and the things that they've been, that, you know, that they have has been incredible. I'm so proud of them, of how they have stepped up,
Mm-hmm.
how they've really stepped up. And over the course of the summer, and now, you know, September, they're back in schools. And I am so proud of what they have managed to accomplish and do, and kept that positive, knowing how challenging and
Mm-hmm.
how many unknowns that there are. These guys are they're really stepping up, and it's just that's what keeps me going in this. When I see that, I go, they get it, they got it,
Yeah. I think
they're
that's
doing
at
this.
the heart of why a lot of people choose to teach, right? Because you have these positive ongoing experiences with
Well, I
students.
hope so.
Mm-hmm.
They're my minions. They're my minions. They'll tell you, I love minions. I do. I love minions, and they have brought me minions for
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've handed all my minions over to one of my past EAs now, because, you know, I work from home now. I'm not in a classroom environment, so no minions in my house.
Yes.
Stay in the class. There's too many.
Yeah.
So they've been passed on to continue with that. But
I love that.
it's just, yeah, I love my students.
Yeah, I can really hear that in your voice. Absolutely.
Just I love the ones I have. Every student's my favorite, but don't tell them that,
Oh, no, no, we can't tell them that, of course.
right? Because they think that they're the favorite. And it's like, yeah, you're your favorite, but they all are.
I just want to add for our listeners on Facebook Live, Zoom, or YouTube, if you have any questions at all about admissions for continuing education or for any of our other programs, you can always reach out to us at ashtoncollege.ca, or you can email us at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca, or call our information services coordinator at 604-625-1150 during business hours, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, Suzanne, I'm just having the loveliest time hearing from you and learning about these courses. You're getting me very excited about them.
Well, that's good. And it could just be because, you know, I'm tired and getting a little, you know, who knows.
The enthusiasm comes through for sure.
Yes.
Let's move on to some of the other courses within human services. We're just going to touch on these briefly. I know that you're not the instructor for these courses, but you're the coordinator for the human services department. So so why don't we talk a little bit about the gerontology course? I know that you mentioned some of the benefits of you know, who would be looking at enrolling in a course like that. Could we talk about some of the topics that might be covered?
Some of the topics. So in taking a look at this, in it's going through, you know, understanding the aging process. You know, that's a big one. I live the aging process now every day, so as I go more and more into that area, I can certainly appreciate what's there. Talking about, you know, the common attitudes and the ideas about seniors is a big thing. You know, I remember when I was young, you know, it's the understanding and respect for my elders that I had, and I think that we have forgotten. You know, so really understanding understanding them. They're going to be looking at the physical and the psychological changes, everything from, beginnings of dementia and Alzheimer's and nervous system and the aches and the pains, mental health. And especially right now, because of COVID, you look at how many seniors are separated from their family and what this means for their mental health as well. I know for myself, my son and daughter-in-law and grandson, they don't live that far from us. They're in another town, but they don't live far. We've seen each other only a few times from the driveway. I have not hugged them since about February. And my daughter and son-in-law, they live in the States. We can't cross the border. So it's just being able to stay in touch with them and whatnot. But what that does when, you're a parent and or grandparent and you want to see the grandkids, you want to see your kids, you want that emotional connection, right? So that mental health part of this is so important now more than it's ever been as well. We look at age-related changes, how personality changes within the aging process. I know I saw that with my parents. Issues and challenges, ethnicity, aging workforce. We're not retiring early anymore. We're working into our 60s, into our 70s now, and beyond if we can. Retirement isn't always in the cards for us. So being able to take a look at that. We also have to take a look at ethnicity in older people, because in different cultures, gerontology, the seniors, it's different values and beliefs and understandings, and how we take care of them is different. We're looking at, gerontology. You're coming to that end of life, and it's how are they doing with that? How are they understanding what that loss and grieving is? I remember my parents, the older they got, more and more of their friends were dying, and they're still alive. And you start to really look at your own mortality when that starts to happen, when all of your friends are dying around you and you're still alive. All those connections start to go as well. So really starting to understand gerontology. So if you're in healthcare, if you've now become the parents to your parents, if you're taking care of them, you want to make sure that they're doing good. If they live with you or if they're in long-term care facilities, you want to understand more of the changes, especially the personality changes and the differences, their health, their stress, all of these things. This is a great course to take just if you've got parents. I wish I had this. There was a lot of trial and error when I went through it. I would love to have been able to take a course that allowed me to really understand it more. I would have been better prepared myself for the issues that my parents had.
Absolutely.
And then going through that with them. And for healthcare aides, I mean, that's just, it's a refresher. I know in the healthcare system programs, they get this information. There's a lot of conversations about gerontology. This just kind of continues it. So it just keeps it fresh.
Absolutely.
Because it can be easy enough to forget at times.
Yeah, and for someone who's, say, working in healthcare in, a busy environment, and there may not be a lot of opportunities day to day to focus on that continuing education and to refresh this knowledge or read old textbooks or anything like that. So it sounds like having the structure and support of a course like this would be extremely beneficial.
And being able to have discussions with
Mm-hmm.
other people who are going through the same things and their perspectives, that sharing, that support.
Mm-hmm.
So with continuing education, I mean, you've got not just the support of the instructor, but you've also got the support of the little community that is
Mm-hmm.
also part of taking that course. So it's all of sharing ideas and whatnot, and that's good to have too.
Mm-hmm. Makes me think of like being a part of a book club, but then having
Yeah.
all of this expanded structure that comes
Yes.
with it, and learning opportunities and
Yeah.
expertise that comes with the
E-
instruction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good. Yeah. So just think of continuing education as a lot of different book clubs. I
Yeah.
like that
With a professional expert
with the
who
profession.
happens to be there.
Yes.
I love
You're a
that.
host. You're a host for it all. Yeah.
Thank you so
So
much. I feel like I
welcome.
have a good understanding now of the gerontology course, and I'm really excited for that course to be a part of our
Me
offerings at
too.
Ashton.
Me
Mm-hmm.
too.
Um, why don't we chat a little bit about the recreation therapy courses? I understand that we have two, one more basic and then a more advanced version as well.
There is. So what I like about the therapeutic recreation is that these two courses side by side, like you can just take the introduction to the therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
recreation, and then if you like it, you can take the therapeutic recreation course, which is just that next level.
Mm-hmm.
This is great if, again, if you are already in it and you're looking for more, or if you're thinking this might be a field that you're actually interested in, you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure, and you don't want to spend the big bucks to find out it's not a fit for you,
Mm-hmm.
this is a great way to find out. Okay.
Absolutely.
To know what recreational therapists actually do. All of they learn their professionalism and they're learning the ethics. They're looking at the different conceptual models, how to put them into
Mm-hmm.
practice. There's discussions about team approaches. Um, the things that can cause a recreational therapist stress,
Okay.
because that's every human services is not a happy joy 24/7. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not. Every field within human services is going to come with its challenges and its
Mm-hmm.
frustrations and its stressors. So if you understand those ahead of time, you know how to deal with those. You know how to make sure you're not going to burn out, that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing that self-care. So understanding where those challenges can come in to play as
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, but therapeutic recreation is, again, healthcare aides who are doing exercise programs with seniors, um, again, families.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is in information, for if you work with kids, if you're working with youth, if you're working with adults, whether they're typical or they're atypical.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many opportunities within there for a lot of different people to be able to take this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're foreign trained, if you're a healthcare professional, but you're foreign trained, this is a good field for you to kind of check out to add to your repertoire of
Mm-hmm.
skills
Absolutely.
as well. It's good for therapy assistants. There's so much in there. So that first one is 11 weeks long, and they're getting 3 hours of instruction every week. And if they like it, then what follows after that would be the therapeutic recreation course that you could take, that just, again, another 13 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just now it's taking it more into the program planning more, being able to do evaluations and conduct assessments. So you're just
Okay.
learning a bit more about
Mm-hmm.
it. It doesn't make you a therapeutic therapist. It doesn't make you that, but it's really giving you more of the insight
Mm-hmm.
into the different ways that this can be used, even for yourself. If you're injured
Oh, okay.
as
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm sure you'd be able to pull things out of there that you'd find interesting for that too.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to take a couple of these things and actually put it into the EA program.
Okay. Mhm.
Just because they do, especially for children with autism, they are doing different occupational therapies
Mhm.
with them for their gross motor skills. So there's things in there that I'm going, there might be a little bit of that I'm going to want to bring in, or have that instructor come and guest speak to my students
Which
as
would
well.
be
So
phenomenal.
there's definitely some crossovers.
Absolutely. And I think that that's one of my big takeaways from speaking with you about these various courses is that, whether you are a professional working in human services industry already, or whether you are a person who is somehow affected in your life, all of these courses are beneficial in various ways. And there's that sort of cross-pollination of knowledge between the
Yes,
various courses.
there is.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely, there is. And then our final one is our diversity and inclusion training certificate. So
Yes.
that one I know the least about, but it's diversity and inclusion, which
Mhm.
I know on the side as an EA working within human services, whether it's with kids or it's with adults with developmental. So
Mhm.
that diversity is what we've been speaking about for months now, in great detail, just in the world with everything that's
And
happening.
just been
So
going on in the world. Mhm.
yeah, everything that's just going on. So it's kind of like, how how do we better work together? How do we work
I
together?
love that. Yeah.
How do we all play nice in the sandbox? How do we figure this out?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what diversity and inclusion is talking about. This is for employers, this is for employees,
Mhm.
to learn, because we're very culturally diverse, and
Mhm.
because of that, we need to understand each other. We
And
need
we can't apply the same structure or principles to every situation and not see that diversity.
Exactly. So we've got cultural diversity, we have
Mhm.
ethnic diversity, we have diversity because of disabilities.
Mhm.
Um, so it's that intercultural, it's conflict resolution. I don't like my coworker, she's really annoying me. It's like, so what can I do? It's like, well, you can't punch her out. So what are you going to do? How
Education, I guess.
how are you
Mhm.
going to figure this out if you don't know how to
Mhm.
do this yourself? We teach intercultural communication in our programs. I
Mhm.
talk about it with my students, and in the community support worker program, which is another big program,
Mhm.
intercultural communication is an important part, right?
Absolutely.
It's dealing with racism, it's dealing with discrimination. So I'm pretty sure that this course is going to touch on those topics that people don't like to talk about, but are so important
Mhm.
to the workplace,
Mhm.
whether that workplace is an office, if it's a community living center, if it's a school environment, doesn't matter. Even
Mhm.
if you're self-employed, diversity and inclusion is is part of that. Is part of
Absolutely.
that. I've had a great appreciation, for Amazon, since March. Um, they've become my best friend. So they visit my house at least twice a week. Don't tell. And it's just, I appreciate everything that they do, and
Mhm.
how they work so hard. Everyone, all the commercials that they show on TV about Amazon and the employees that are there, and
Mhm.
and whatnot, that's what I think of when I'm ordering. I
Wow.
do. I think of that, and I go, these are people who are doing what they need to make sure that we've got our stuff,
Yeah.
whether it's stuff that we need or stuff that we want.
Mhm.
They're there to make sure that we've got our stuff, and it's not just them. It's the drivers. It's everybody that's involved, and it's that
Mhm.
appreciation of everybody's roles in the
Mhm.
stuff that you wanted to get. I get
Mhm.
my groceries delivered. I don't go out much. I get because I'm always home. So
Well, you're
there's,
always teaching.
I'm
So
always teaching. so that diversity and seeing all the different people that are going out of their way and appreciating who they are and what they offer, and these are the things that, our problem solving skills are how we're seeing. I there's so many things I see on Facebook that I just got to keep scrolling, because it's just, I can't stop, because if I do, I'm going to say something, and it's like, I don't want to. I'd like to, but not in that forum, because you're going to talk to a wall. So it's just, we need to learn how to be kind. Everything that Dr. Bonnie Henry says,
we echo that. Absolutely.
we need to be kind. We need to know what that means, what that looks like. So the diversity inclusion training is really going to help employers and employees
in any environment.
In any environment, to figure it out, to get that support, to know how to do this, so that the company works at its highest efficiency that it should.
Absolutely.
So that's what they're going to get out of that one.
Yeah, it's a very exciting overview. Thank you. So I do have one question from our Facebook Live.
Sure.
The question is just around the benefits of online learning and what that live online structure is like.
Online learning isn't for everyone, especially when you've been in a classroom environment or it's been a long time, and an online can seem scary. Okay. I've taken online courses where you are completely on your own and you just submit stuff and you don't have that contact. You're watching videos and you read the material, you write a little test, and then you move on. That's all it is. Our online programs, you've got support. You've got the instructor, and not just that one day a week. I'm pretty sure that our instructors are available for an email that's just questioning something before session. So they've got that, they've got the supports, the materials are there. They're not completely alone. They're going to have to do some reading and whatnot on their own. Absolutely. Will they have to do, a couple of activities, maybe contribute to a discussion board? Yes, but it's not like going back to school. This is different. This is adults getting together and sharing ideas and collaborating and learning together. It's a different online environment than what typical online courses are. It's being able to do this, is being able to talk and see the person that is taking you through everything. It's being able to have those discussions and get your questions answered and know that you've got that support. That is something that Ashton College does well.
Absolutely.
The students are supported.
I've honestly heard that sentiment from all of the faculty members that I've chatted with. That word support keeps coming up in regards to just how Ashton College engages with students. All of the faculty have echoed that sentiment that, email me anytime. We're always available, always here to help.
Yep.
And I think you touched on a really interesting point as well on the differences between, say, a pre-recorded lecture that you watch on your own time and this very live component that we have at Ashton.
Yes. Yeah. It's more relaxed. It's boring just to watch a recorded, like you're just sitting there, but there's no interaction. So it's really hard to be an active learner when everything you're doing is recorded and you're by yourself. This is live. This is interactive. You can have some fun at the same time as you're learning, and we're real. I mean, this is who we are. I don't think any of the instructors that I've ever talked to or I've met are fake. They are real people. And we've got personalities and we like to have fun. We've all got a passion for the field that we go into. And we just want to share that with you. And we're not there to mess you up or do this. It's kind of like, okay, what do you need?
And
whether
like you
it's
said,
us,
adults learning together,
it's
right?
adults learning together.
And we know that a huge aspect of teaching is learning from the students as well. And so there's this exchange of information and
Absolutely. That
ideas.
exchange is vital to anything that you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confident that whether or not students are taking a full program or they're taking the continuing education,
Mm-hmm.
they'll they'll be fine. We'll take
Yeah,
good care of them. We
they will be
promise.
supported.
We'll take good care of them.
I
It'll
love
be
that.
okay.
Suzanne, thank you so much. It's just been such a pleasure to get to
You're
chat with you
welcome.
today. I feel like I've learned so much about these various programs. I'm
Me
really
too.
excited for you and for your students and just, for continuing education in general. Absolutely. I have one last question before we wrap up. I was just curious if you had any final words of advice or thoughts that you wanted to share with prospective students. So maybe someone who's a little on the fence about enrolling, they're just not sure yet. Any final thoughts for that person?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Okay.
Take take that risk. Take that step. Taking a continuing education course is a short commitment to find out if this is what you're interested in. And if you are, then you can look at the bigger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be scared. I mean, all the students that I'm currently teaching, I've got some students that, this is week 3 for them. They're in their first module and it's the first week, the first 3 weeks. And there's a diversity of ages and experiences, and they're step by step, they're finding their way, but they know already, I got their back.
Mm-hmm.
I got them. They're not going to fall. I've got them. And as they build more confidence and they start feeling that they can start to do things, I'll be able to step back a bit. But right now I got them. The continuing education courses, your instructor has you.
Mm-hmm.
They've got that limited time. None of the sessions are going to be a waste of your time. All your live sessions are going to put into play the things that you've been reading through the course of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's kind of like, okay, let's expand it further. Ask your questions. Go ahead, try to stump us. We like that.
Yeah, curiosity is such a big part of it.
It
right?
is. It is, absolutely. So just, take that step. Just go over to your computer, go to your mouse, bring it up, and then click to register. Do it.
And you will not regret it.
You won't regret it.
Yeah,
You won't regret
taking
it.
that risk.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much,
We
Suzanne.
don't learn if we don't take risks. Step out.
Mm-hmm.
Step out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, CJ. It's been fun. I'm going to look forward to us doing a lot more of these.
Absolutely. I feel the exact same way. And I just want to say a little reminder for our attendees on Facebook Live or Zoom or watching on YouTube. You can always email us your questions at ceinfo@ashtoncollege.ca anytime. Happy to respond. You can also look us up ashtoncollege.ca online. We have course descriptions for everything that we talked about today, admissions details, anything you might need to know, or you can give us a call, 604-625-1150, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the continuing education human services courses. So thanks so much for joining us.